Life is pretty unpredictable, right? But it doesn't mean it won't have some incredible things in store for you. From bad drivers to good ones and from car fails to wins, today I bring you some of the most incredible moments on the road which may leave you with permanent pupil dilation. I'm just kidding, but let us dive right into the video. What would you call this one, a fail or a win? Whatever it was a spectacular thing to see, and even the car made it out all right and got back on track in a jiffy. These Arab drifters are something else, I tell you, and it's not always the case that everything goes accordingly to what they plan. In this case, they both are at fault. As soon as the light turns green, this driver shoots off uphill and doesn't bother slowing down. But when he sees the sudden traffic appear, he only just manages to save his car from being wrecked. Here's what happens when cops stumble upon you suddenly. The driver decided that straight-line speed is better than turning even an inch. Here comes a rally car in full throttle, and because of the high revs, the engine literally comes apart under the car as pieces of hard metal fly everywhere. If you wanted to see someone with guts of steel, take a look at this guy drifting a Toyota Camry at very high speeds. I'm surprised the car didn't roll over knowing how heavy it is. Sometimes when you mess up, it doesn't matter how many wheels remain on your car, you just need to get out of there before more of your car falls apart. Imagine driving along the road minding your own business when suddenly a pair of flying mattresses attack your car and break your windscreen. This lowrider turns itself into Michael Jackson suddenly as it stands on its toes when the suspension gives in. What do you get when you have actual drivers who know how to spin their cars around and put up a nice show? You get this art form. When they're not busy spinning your average everyday sedans around, these Arabs are driving at the speed of sound in SUVs, trying to get them to drive on only 2 wheels. Forza Horizon 10 just got leaked and the gameplay footage looks very realistic if you ask me. Now you can also drive a van in the game. People seem to underestimate smart cars a lot, so this guy showed the world what these are capable of. Compared to that, that was an ocean, and I dare you to drive your Mercedes through that same way. These guys caught a real-life transformer behind them when the truck's roof flew away as it picked up speed behind them. You know what to do when you have that premium Japanese build quality and a Honda on top of that? You take it flying around bends. When this car turns around, you get a nice and equally head-scratching surprise. How is he still on there, and why isn't his behind on fire because of the engine, am I right? Imagine driving your newly finished project car down the road, and when you rip it, the gear lever turns into jelly. Resentment setting in for sure. Do you want to see the cleanest entry anyone has ever made? Well, take a look at this topper that flew off the red truck and slid perfectly into the sink. This little car and its driver have a hidden secret about those tires. As soon as he starts burning rubber, you get to see a very unexpected color. On the funnier side of things, here's what your average Mustang looks like when it goes hunting for people at the car meet. There are many ways to check the suspension of your vehicle, and one of them includes running full speed into a speed breaker and making it fly. Koenigseggs are the closest thing to spaceships on the road, and this one is no different with its high-speed acceleration and continuous flame-spitting exhaust. These guys took street racing to the extreme, and not to mention the clenching onto your seat part as they cut through traffic with 2 cars in the same lane and almost crashed twice. When you get on the trucker's bad side, this is how you end up on the side of the road. This driver knew better not to cut the lorry off in its blind spot. Here comes the captain of the bad driver squadron as he takes his car into flight mode, but sadly does not stick the landing so well. K-trucks are like little toys you can play with when you want the real-life experience but the fun of an RC car. This one, however, probably didn't go as planned. Or did it? This guy's a true professional in reversing his car across a bridge made out of 2 planks of wood. If he got paid for doing this, he'd be a millionaire. Here's one determined lorry driver who is not going to give up that easily. With snowy roads and a lorry full to the brim with material, he still makes his way up the hill, and that too after a successful reverse maneuver. Now this guy is a different breed. The way might be blocked because of the broken down bus, but not for him as he inches his way forward slowly. I would not do that, even in a 660cc car. If you ever wanted to see a professional Mustang driver, here is one who knows his inches around the car down to the last decimal point. Snowy conditions make for a hazardous surface to drive on, especially on the highway. And luckily for this person, he managed to save his car from crashing with the others. The next time someone wants to roast their marshmallows over a fire, I would just bring them here. I bet it can roast a lot more than just marshmallows though. It takes real skill to drift around an almost 4 decades old heavy and cumbersome Mercedes S-Class, and this guy has what it takes. What do you do when a turn's coming up? You speed up like this guy so you can make an overtake, of course, and it's lights out. Literally. Watch this driver use his quick reflexes and amazing driving skills to thread the needle between 2 cars at high speed. Now you tell me if this type of suspension setup is good or bad, because that bump probably wasn't even that big. Speaking of quick reflexes, by the way, nobody can top those when it comes to this Audi TT driver who saves himself the trouble of crashing. Everything was going fine as cars left this car meet, when suddenly a very familiar sight came into view. Poor car being driven by a blind man. However, not everyone is a bad driver when it comes to drifting in the middle of the road. These 2 guys do an amazing job of being side by side and changing positions mid-drift. Then there are people like this who can't even do the same thing in open areas like parking lots. Did he forget he had brakes or something? Here we have a driver that probably joined the church after almost crashing into traffic if it weren't for his quick reflexes. Something tells me he probably needed to change diapers after that.